Gothic is a perfect example of a game that can teach you Stoicism, not through textbook philosophy, but through the experience of surviving a brutal world where perseverance, acceptance of reality, and control over your emotions genuinely matter. Welcome! My name is 𝐌𝐞𝐫𝐿, and you're experiencing Escape from Stigma. Before we begin, remember that you can support the channel by leaving a like, writing a comment, and subscribing. Thank you. Accepting reality. The Nameless Hero has no reason to waste his energy rebelling against the reality in which he finds himself. He has been thrown into the colony. He is surrounded by criminals, monsters, political conflict, and people who would happily exploit or kill him. He cannot immediately change any of this. What he can change is the way he responds. Instead of endlessly complaining about his situation, he adapts. He studies the world, searches for opportunities, and chooses the most effective course of action. That is a deeply stoic approach. Stoicism teaches us that there is little value in lamenting circumstances that are already beyond our control. It is far more useful to concentrate on what we can actually do. Throughout Gothic, the player must confront the brutal reality of the colony. Accepting these difficulties reflects the stoic attitude towards adversity. You cannot control the entire world around you. You can simply control your own decisions within it.
Welcome to the colony.
Concentrating on your own actions. Stoicism teaches us that instead of expecting the world to be kind or fair, we should concentrate on our own actions. In Gothic, you receive almost nothing for free. Respect must be earned. Memberships in a faction must be earned. Character development, better weapons, stronger armor, money, influence, everything requires effort. The Stoics taught us that we should not waste our energy worrying about things outside our control. We should focus on our choices, discipline, and behavior. That is exactly what the Nameless Hero does. Step by step, he rises through the colony despite every obstacle placed in his path. To become a shadow in the old camp, for example, you must first earn the approval of influential figures such as Taurus, Diego, or Dexter. You cannot simply walk into the camp and announce, "I want to join." That is not how Gothic works. You have to prove yourself through action. Stoicism teaches that our actions should be guided by virtue, judgment, and wisdom. In Gothic, thoughtless decisions can easily lead to violence, exploitation, or death. Survival requires more than strength. It requires awareness. Remaining calm in the face of provocation. Stoicism also teaches us not to become controlled by the opinions of others. Many characters in Gothic treat the Nameless Hero with contempt, especially at the beginning. He is mocked, threatened, manipulated, and dismissed as another worthless newcomer. You can become offended by this and start fights with everyone who disrespects you. But that is rarely the smartest approach. It is much more effective to remain calm, understand the situation, and continue working toward your objective. Stoicism teaches us not to become slaves to anger, pride, or humiliation. Instead, we should respond through reason. The old camp demonstrates this perfectly. Guards such as Bloodwind demand protection money from newcomers. You can become outraged, attack them immediately, or allow your pride to control your decision, or simply pay them and be a loser. But sometimes, the wiser strategy is to just wait. You can build your strength, form alliances, learn how the camp operates, and confront the problem when you're generally prepared. Sometimes, the intelligent choice is to preserve your energy and continue building something greater instead of destroying yourself over something insignificant. That is the way of Stoic. That is the way of the Nameless Hero. Difficulty is a path to growth. The Stoics believe that hardship strengthens character. Every challenge in Gothic, fighting monsters, gaining the trust of a faction, surviving within the camps, or exploring the wilderness, makes the protagonist stronger. Adversity is not merely an obstacle, it is the teacher. The Nameless Hero does not spend his time mourning his fate. He does what must be done in order to survive and become more capable. At the beginning of the game, wolves, scavengers, bandits, even Molras can kill you almost instantly. That does not necessarily mean that the game is unfair. It means that you're not ready. You must learn how to fight, understand your enemies, find better equipment, gain experience, and return when you're stronger. The world does not lower itself to your level. You must rise to meet it. That may be one of the most important Stoic lessons contained within Gothic. Minimalism and Simplicity. The Stoics valued a simple life and warned against becoming dependent on comfort or luxury. In Gothic, you begin with almost nothing. Because of that, you learn to appreciate every useful object you discover. A piece of meat, a healing herb, a better sword, or an amulet that might allow you to survive your next encounter. Your value is not determined by your wealth or social status. What matters is how effectively you navigate the world. Instead of buying expensive potions, you can roast meat over a campfire. Instead of purchasing every weapon, you can earn equipment through exploration, quests, combat, and intelligence. The game constantly reminds you that survival does not require endless luxury, it requires resourcefulness. Death and failure as parts of life. Memento mori. When you die in Gothic, you load your save and try again. The Stoics did not believe that death or failure should dominate our lives with fear. Both are natural parts of existence. In Gothic, death happens frequently, almost too often. However, every defeat can teach you something. Perhaps you approached the enemy from the wrong direction. Perhaps you were not properly equipped. Perhaps you attacked too early, misunderstood the combat system, or ignored an obvious warning. Each failure gives you information. You learn how to avoid certain enemies, how to use your weapons more effectively, and when to fight or when to walk away. Death is not simply punishment. It is feedback. In Gothic, you have no control over where you begin. You do, however, have control over what you do next. The game demands patience, emotional discipline, adaptation, and the ability to learn from failure. The Nameless Hero does not become powerful because destiny simply hands him victory. No, he becomes powerful through perseverance, experience, intelligence, and strength of character. He is blood-cold stoic. Even his charisma comes from knowing not to take himself or life not too seriously.
Very well. I will take your letter. On one condition. Spare me the rest of his nonsense.
That is why Gothic can be understood as a school of Stoicism. It does not merely explain these ideas, it forces you to practice them. I was 6 years old when I played Gothic for the first time. It was my first lesson on resilience. Since then, I have independently studied Epictetus and the work of other philosophers. And many of the notes produced during those studies will eventually appear in my book Stigma, a memoir invaded by a myth. I strongly recommend following the development of the book. A great deal is currently happening around the project, particularly on Instagram. The book is set for the release on 25th of January 2027, and soon I will be publishing more materials about it. You can find all the relevant links in the description. I would also like to invite you to follow the project The Incarnate. It's an original vision for a series set within the world of Gothic. The creator's interpretation is unlike anything we have seen before. An original, Aztec-inspired vision of 𝐌𝐿𝐴 and its culture.
To them, the sons of 𝐌𝐿𝐴 heroically stopped the enemy's counterattack. 13 years have passed since then.
Make sure to check it out. And that is all from me today. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time, take care, stay strong, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.